I haven't done many top 10s on my channel, but I felt this one was pretty important. Sometimes you get a really interesting idea and you just have to execute. I'm a huge fan of the Mario Party series. Mario Party 3 is probably my favorite in the series. There's some incredible minigames in these collections to go with some really unique boards. I've spent the last couple of days going over what I feel are the top 10 most iconic Mario Party minigames. What do I think defines an iconic Mario Party minigame? For starters, a bunch of skill, bit of luck, usually some absolute craziness all sandwiched together to make sure you and your friends want to bash each other over the head with your controllers. Add in a bit of lasting appeal for these minigames that still get discussed to this day, and you have the most memorable of the bunch. I'd also like to add that I believe that all of these minigames inspired a bunch of other minigames, as most are originals with altered recreations in future titles. These are not my favorite Mario Party minigames, and this is highly opinionated. You probably will feel differently than I do. I feel like these represent the series as a whole really well. And to my list's credit, more than half of these minigames were brought back in some sort of capacity in the series. I will be only showing clips of the original minigame, but I'll discuss all of its appearances. Just a heads up before I show the list off, not a single minigame on this list is from Mario Party DS 8, 9, or 10. And while I have some personal favorites in those games, I don't feel like any are timeless enough, and honestly they don't really fit on an iconic Mario Party games list. Don't get me wrong, there's some great games in those Mario Parties, but they just don't fit on my list. I only have one minigame from Super Mario Party as well. But with all that being said, let's jump right in. So the first minigame up is an honorable mention. I have 6 honorable mentions in my list before we get to the top 10. The first of the 6 honorable mentions is a game called The Final Countdown, which is a battle minigame which first appeared in 7, but returns as a free-for-all minigame in Mario Party The Top 100 and Mario Party Superstars. The game's an absolute chaotic mess as you're punching each opponent and trying to knock them off the sides of the board, while also trying to avoid the numbers from counting down to 0 and falling through the panels. It's a nice mix of having to focus on your opponents because you're able to punch and jump on them and everything else, while also having to look at all the numbers around you to make sure you don't fall through. It's probably the best minigame from Mario Party 7, but in my opinion represents everything really well about Mario Party, and is a great start to my honorable mentions. Next up for our honorable mentions, we have a game called Lift Leapers, which only appeared in Mario Party 6. You start off coming out of a warp pipe at the beginning of a huge obstacle course, and you have to go through all these different platforming sections to reach the end first. It is the perfect length of a minigame, and I remember the first time I played it being surprised at how deep it was and how unique it was for the series. This game takes me back to the core of great Mario games in general, and that's why it's fantastic, and I'm shocked it's never made a return in any game. Might be one of the only ones on my list that never made a proper return. Next up for our honorable mentions, we have a game that's referred to as Mush Pit in later Mario Parties, but was originally called Toadstool Titan. It appears originally in Mario Party 3 and came back in the Top 100 and Mario Party Superstars. At the start of this minigame, 4 players fall down to the floor, and the goal is to hit each block and find the mushroom hiding in one of the blocks. Once a player gets the mushroom, they become extremely large and try to knock out other players from this tiny boxed area. The game's idea is fairly simple, but it becomes a lot of strategy and skill to knock out other players who are good at avoiding your running. When you run in this game, you only really get to stick to one direction, so you have to try to fake out the other players to knock them out. It's simple, it's effective, it's really fun and chaotic. Once again, another great iconic Mario Party minigame that just slides out of my top 10. Our next honorable mention goes to Speed Hockey, which is a 2v2 minigame that was first featured in Mario Party 2 and returned in the Top 100 and Mario Party Superstars. I like to refer to this game as Mario Party Foosball, as there's teams of 2 players on each side that can move up and down, and they have to try to block and bounce back the red shell, which is the green shell in Mario Party Superstars, into the other team's goal without giving up 3 goals on their side. Once one team scores 3 goals, you win the game. This one's really well done, involves a lot of strategy and teamwork, and is probably one of the only 2v2 or anything other than 4-player minigames I have on my list. I feel like this was a great addition to Mario Party 2, and I know Mario Party 2 removed a lot of the problematic games from Mario Party 1 and improved on some of the better games from the original Mario Party, but this new creation to the series was an absolute banger, and what I felt represented the game really well. Following up on that, our next honorable mention is Ice Rink Risk, back to Mario Party 3 for another 4-player minigame. This was featured originally, like I said, in Mario Party 3. This game was brought back in Mario Party The Top 100 and Mario Party Superstars. The game takes place in an ice rink, and I promise you, it wasn't my goal to follow up hockey with ice skating. That certainly wasn't the game plan. Weird scenario there where everything just clicked, but the game takes place in an ice rink with the Spiny imprinted in it. Players have to avoid the spiny shells that get dropped in, and it can get very chaotic because you can jump on other players' heads and prevent them from jumping. So you basically end up fighting for every single inch of space that you can find, and the last player remaining takes it home. This was one of many great Mario Party 3 games implemented into the series, but it stands on its own for sure, and I think represents the chaos, fun, creativity I always talk about when we discuss the Mario Party minigames. For our last honorable mention, we have a minigame called Bombs Away, which is a 4-player game from Mario Party, which was brought back in Mario Party 2, The Top 100, and Mario Party Superstars. What makes this game so unique and special is how much it's evolved from game to game. But basically the premise is there's a Bowser pirate ship trying to knock you off this platform, and all 4 players have to basically try to avoid these obstacles, whether it be jumping on each other or just fighting for a few inches of space. It reminds me of Ice Rink Risk that we just talked about, but the obstacles are coming from usually above you instead of what you can see on the level playing field. It's also important to mention that in Mario Party 2, while the bullet bills are sometimes shot, when the clock reaches 7 seconds, the ship engages a very powerful missile that has a way wider blast radius. This was a really nice addition to Mario Party 2, and a part of what makes it so timeless. To start off our top 10, we have a game called Crazy Cutters, or as it was originally called in Mario Party 1, Crazy Cutter. The game was brought back in Mario Party 2 as Chain Chomp cutouts, and brought back in Superstars back to the original Boo cutouts. Each of the 4 players are on jackhammers and have to go around and cut out the shape as perfectly as possible. While this minigame is pretty simple in theory, there are a lot of spin-off minigames created from this one that have to do with drawing and outlining and cutting stuff out, and this is really the game, in my opinion, that spawned those other ones. So in my opinion, this fits right in the beginning of the start of our top 10 for the most iconic minigames. How could I leave out Crazy Cutters? I didn't. Next up, for the 9th spot, we have Pushy Penguins, which is a 4-player minigame that debuted in Mario Party 5 and returned in the Top 100 and Mario Party Superstars. This minigame begins when a penguin leaves one of the igloos, walks all the way left, and jumps into the water. Standing on a large chunk of ice, each player has to dodge the other ones, creating their own space as penguins clog up the ice. Avoiding groups and finding gaps is the way to be successful in this one, and even blocking your opponents from proceeding helps in winning this minigame. You can fall off the water on the top, on the sides. This one's really fun and probably one of the better minigames from Mario Party 5, but I think it really defines the chaos and fun that I always talk about that comes with iconic Mario Party minigames. At number 8, we have Shy Guy Says, which is a 4-player minigame that debuted in Mario Party, was brought back in Mario Party 2, Mario Party The Top 100, Mario Party Superstars, and Super Mario Party Jamboree, the newest game that's coming out very soon. So I'm actually shocked I don't have this game higher on the list. I guess I just felt there were 7 games that are more iconic, but this game is basically Mario Party in a nutshell. It's a simple minigame, but it's fun, it's chaotic, it's perfect with friends. Basically, players have to raise the same color flag that the Shy Guy puts up. Each of the Shy Guy's flags have a button to push, and you have to match that button push with whatever he says. He'll try to trick you here and there, and the game will get faster and faster progressively. And like I said, the Shy Guy makes it a real game of chicken. He'll put up one flag and switch it to the other, so you have to be really quick. And I always found it interesting that the music would speed up as the game got tougher and faster. This all culminates into an amazing Mario Party minigame that's so good that they've now brought it back 4 different times. Alright, we're starting to truly get into the most iconic Mario Party minigames. Next, at number 7, is Hot Rope Jump, which is a 4-player minigame that debuted in Mario Party, returned in Mario Party 2, and then once again showed its face in Mario Party Superstars, where the game, in my opinion, became its best form. Before I even discuss how Hot Rope Jump works, playing Mario Party Superstars with my friends, all of us were able to get to 99 or 100 or whatever it is exactly to end the minigame in a complete tie, and it felt like a giant achievement. In my opinion, it was just a snapshot of what makes Mario Party so great and so much fun. Learning the minigames, getting better, working at them, and then perfecting them, mastering them to make them very competitive. And Hot Rope Jump is a great example of skill and effort and everything great about Mario Party. Lava bubbles start appearing, and they basically turn into a big long jump rope, and the smaller ones go above you, and the pace will change every now and then. You basically just have to jump and dodge them. It was a lot more simple in the original Mario Party, and it became a fan favorite in the newer one. Slapperazzi is a 4-player minigame appearing in Super Mario Party. A red Koopa shows up at the bottom of the screen ready to take a picture of all the characters. Then all hell breaks loose. Each player can punch each other, and the goal is to get as close to the front of the picture as possible. This game is absolute chaos as the Koopa moves around, and you have to stay on your toes and move closer and closer to the spot where the photo is going to be taken. This leads to some hilarious photos and finishes, and unlike one of the older minigames that's only one photo to decide a winner, this minigame has multiple photos and has the proper length of what a minigame should be. Like I've said about other minigames, this one just encapsulates everything great about Mario Party. It stuffs it all into a pretty picture, no pun intended. But in all seriousness, this one is really fun. It's from one of the newer Mario Parties in Super Mario Party, and that's what's so unique. I usually don't think of newer minigames as iconic Mario Party minigames, but this one takes the cake. It's just perfect. Dungeon Duos is a 2v2 minigame found originally in Mario Party 4 and then brought back in Mario Party Superstars. At the start of this minigame, all 4 players are dropped into a dungeon, come out of warp pipes, and the game begins. This minigame holds a series of 4 trials in it to see which team is faster, more precise, and better. The first part involves players lowering walls just by spamming a button. The second part involves one player rotating a platform and then the other player jumping on to get to the other side. The third part involves finding the right warp pipe to get to the final section. And the last part is simply blowing up a balloon with L and R. While I will admit to anyone that this minigame is probably a little bit too long, out of every 2v2 minigame I've ever played, nothing even comes close to touching Dungeon Duos. I could see how some people would put this in as the GOAT minigame, as it combines a ton of different aspects from other minigames and smashes it all together into one great minigame. As far as 2v2 minigames go, this one's the absolute GOAT. The hilarity, the chaos, the competitiveness, everything comes out when you're playing this game with friends and you want to be the team that takes home the prize. Especially if double coins are on the line or anything in particular. There's a lot of pride involved in this one from what I remember. But yeah, I love Dungeon Duos. It absolutely belongs in the top 5, and that is how we're starting off the top 5, with Dungeon Duos at number 5. At number 4, we have Facelift, a 4-player minigame that originally appeared in Mario Party, came back in Mario Party 2, Mario Party The Top 100, and Mario Party Superstars. In the next installments, some faces were changed, but in the original, you only had Bowser. This game was really unique in my opinion and stood out from the rest in the original game. And in my opinion, when you think of Mario Party at number 4, you really have to think of Facelift. The objective of the minigame is to change the character's facial expressions and distort them to match the distorted picture in the middle. I've seen really competitive games here where just an eyebrow being slightly off can dictate who wins the game. Like I said in the beginning of this video, iconic doesn't always mean best. I don't think Facelift is anything crazy special, but I really do think it defines Mario Party. And I do believe it inspired a lot of other minigames in future Mario Party titles, where you have to try to match something else. At number 3, we have Book Squirm, a 4-player minigame that originally appeared in Mario Party 4, returned in Mario Party The Top 100, and Mario Party Superstars. I'll go ahead and say it, this is probably most people's favorite minigame in the Mario Party series. If not their favorite, easily top 3, even in a haters list, would be top 5, top 10. Now, I'm gonna straight up say it, guys, Book Squirm is probably not one of my favorite minigames. Do I think it should make a top 10 list? Absolutely. I do see why people like it. I don't think it's as special as what some people say though. I do think it's fairly simple where book pages are just coming down and you're trying to find the holes in the book to make sure you don't get squashed by the pages. I think the concept is unique. I think it's fun trying to push people out of the way and the competitiveness this game brings. I think it definitely was probably one of the best minigames from Mario Party 4. But like I said, this is my iconic list, not my favorite Mario Party games list or my best Mario Party games list. This is the most iconic ones, and whenever people talk about Mario Party, I feel like Booksquirm always gets brought up. So that should definitely help with some clarification on my list. It's not my most favorite games, it's the games that define Mario Party, and Booksquirm is a chaotic 4-player minigame that's fun, is a perfect length, has a unique idea set in place to win the minigame. It definitely checks every box, and that's why number 3 for the most iconic minigames makes a lot of sense. At number 2, we have a game called Mushroom Mix-Up, which appeared in the original Mario Party and then returned in Mario Party Superstars. But this game did return in different names and different forms like Hexagon Heat, and I think inspired a lot of Mario Party minigames that were platform-based or fighting for position, trying to stay in one place without falling somewhere else. We had the final countdown at number 16, right? I don't think the final countdown ever exists if we didn't have something like Mushroom Mix-Up to start. The rules are very simple. The players have to stay on the same colored mushroom platform as Toad's flag that he holds in the air. The other platforms will start to sink then, and you cannot fall in the water. The game does give you the ability to jump on players' heads and ground pound them, which makes the result a lot more interesting. In terms of being nostalgic and iconic, this minigame brings everything to the table and really brings out that fiery competitiveness and hilarity all at the same time as you're fighting your friends to stay on a single platform. When I think of Mario Party, this is everything I talked about. It's fun, chaotic, it's the proper length of a minigame, and you can dictate with skill how it ends up most of the time. But there's that little bit of luck and chance that creates a really fun atmosphere for players to enjoy Mario Party. Game is simple to learn, not too complex. It is perfect in everything that Mario Party should be. But it's not even my number 1, it's my number 2. And here we go, folks, to cap off my top 10 most iconic Mario Party minigames list, we have Bumper Balls, a 4-player minigame that originally appeared in Mario Party, returned in Mario Party 2, once again came back in Mario Party the Top 100, also returned in Mario Party Superstars, and is going to have its very own version in Super Mario Party Jamboree. How do you win at Bumper Balls? You have to knock the other players off the platform. Now this game evolved so much as time went on, and there were also different levels too in future games. But some later installments did add some obstacles on the level to make the game a bit more challenging, but as is, even without it, it's really fun. You're running into your friends or the computer and trying to knock them off the platform, all while running on a ball. It really is as simple as that, but the first time I played it, I remember knowing how special Mario Party was going to be to me. I think it checks off everything on the list, and even more than that, it's such a popular game that they brought it back now 4 different times. And what's so interesting about it is I'll fully admit it's not even a perfect minigame. A lot of the original versions had a lot of ties. It was hard when you got down to 2 players to knock the other one off the platform. You know when you get this game with friends, or even just by yourself, you're gonna have a giant smile on your face. I think that's the big takeaway here, is that the game's fun, competitive, strategic, but it's simple, and the length is always really good here. It's the definition of a fantastic Mario Party game, and what I think of when someone says Mario Party. Bumper Balls always comes to mind. I wish I had more to say about this one, but I think I summed it up really well, guys. This minigame is fantastic, and even though it might not be your favorite, I think it is the definition of an iconic Mario Party minigame. And that's why it's my number 1. Alright guys, finally, that's my entire list. I spent so many days, so many hours putting this together, a lot of brainstorming, a lot of changes here and there. It was really, really tough to come up with top 10, and I even added 16 because there were a bunch of games I just felt we couldn't leave out from this list. They're too important to Mario Party as a whole. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Drop a like on the video. Any sort of support really helps. I put a lot of effort into this video. What are your top 10 iconic Mario Party minigames? Please let me know. And let me know what on my list stands out to you as why is that there? Why did he put that there? I love hearing other people's opinions. With the new Mario Party coming out, I'm so excited to play it. This has been a huge long-running series and one of my favorite series basically from Nintendo. One of my favorite game series in general. I absolutely love Mario Party. I always play the heck out of it. I am pretty good at it. I'm not even the best though. It's a game for everyone and to get together with friends and to try and ruin your friendships. So thanks for watching the video, guys. I appreciate all the support. I'll see you guys soon for more content in the future.